Good morning. Welcome
Hello.
to Farm Smart Conference 2019.
Hello everybody, thank you for being here with us. And if you are seeing this video, that's because we couldn't come. So our baby was supposed to be born last Tuesday, and then she's late, like 10 days. So
She's proving a point that work-life balance is sometimes out of your control.
yeah, but we have created this plan B, and we are recording the presentation so that you can see what we prepare for you, because I worked really hard contacting farmers and really learning about the struggles that you guys are facing. And I'm so excited, and Samantha too, to be sharing this with you.
So thank you for having us. We are grateful that we are sharing what we have learned about work-life balance throughout the presentation. Because we're not there in the physical presence, please just jot down any questions that you might have, because we will be in touch directly after the conference to answer any questions that you might have had. You can do that by either contacting us or sending it through the event organizer.
Yeah, we are happy to make a follow-up video answering all those questions live so that you can have a sense of what we say and how. And also there is a bonus of us doing this. Originally in the presentation, it will be just myself because she will be probably taking care of the newborn baby. But today you are getting both of us, so that's a big bonus for you.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the presentation.
Sounds good.
So as you can see, we have a very nice image here. We thought it was an adequate image for the presentation. My name is Emilio Jose Garcia.
And my name's Samantha Kristoferson. And this picture was taken on Highway 6, just heading up, you're just in the little middle of Huron County there.
Yeah, so we have a business that is called KW Professional Organizers, and our passion is to help individuals and families get organized in every area of their lives. So work-life balance is a big topic for us, and we always are searching for new ways of finding practical ways for you to find that balance.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we get asked a lot is work-life balance even possible? And right now we would just like to, make an icebreaker here. Can you please talk to the person who's closest to you and discuss your thoughts? Do you agree with this question? Do you think it's possible, or do you think absolutely the opposite? And we'll just leave a couple of minutes for you to discuss. So please go ahead. Is work-life balance possible? And if you haven't given your partner a chance to let them comment, please switch over and make sure that everybody gets to share how they feel about work-life balance.
Yeah, this is also a good exercise to get to know your neighbors. Sometimes it's nice to have a topic to talk about.
Maybe you already know your neighbors.
Maybe. Okay, I think you had enough time to get started, and then at least to get a yes or a no. And it's so interesting because a lot of times when we bring the work-life balance topic, majority of the people were saying, oh, wow, are you talking about that? Are you sure you want to talk about that? How are you going to talk about that? It's a very controversial topic, but that's why we did a lot of research. This image represents how a lot of people feel and how we feel sometimes in life too. Have you ever felt this way? This image, we found it when we became foster parents, we went through a process of a lot of interviews and a lot of going to the family center. And basically I found this postcard there. And someone, I think it was a child probably, drew this.
I think an adult drew that.
Yeah, with a childish style. But we found it very interesting. So do you feel this way sometimes? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes for majority of the people. So this is us again.
So we started our business, and Emilio keeps saying a lot of research, but a lot of the research comes from our years of experience of operating our business, which is KW Professional Organizers. We've been organizing in Waterloo region since 2012, with our main focuses being on the topic of organization, minimalism, and self-care. We think with this recipe of these three topics, you can really address a lot of the challenges that people face practically every day. So we're not really into the theory aspect of it as much as we are into, okay, when I get up in the morning, how do I make sure that I stay organized? How do I look after myself and make sure I'm getting my self-care? How do I make sure I keep the relationships in a healthy manner, blah, blah, blah. So really, a lot of our work and what we're sharing with you today comes from the experiences of working with hundreds of clients. And we've also been writing a weekly blog for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah. The secret here is to take a holistic approach to this, because it doesn't work if you only do one thing. Life is a combination of things, and you need to understand how every piece moves, and self-care is really important, and work-life balance, it boils down for your ability to be able to manage all those pieces, whatever they are in your life. Mm-hmm. So that's why we are, the next presentation that we are giving is gonna be about how to declare your physical space. And it has a huge relationship with work-life balance, because if your space is organized, you can function better. So stay tuned for the next talk if you are interested in that topic. But after talking with a lot of farmers and doing a lot of research about this topic, this is one of the sentences that when I asked the farmer, how will you help someone else in the farming industry that is struggling to find work-life balance? And this was his answer. Schedule the balance that you want. Don't wait for it to magically appear. And I want to ask, are there any magicians in the room? I hope no one is raising their hands, but most likely
well,
no.
There could be a magician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're a magician, then I don't know why you're here, because you can make things happen really quickly. But if you are not one of them, you have to find a way to make this happen. But he says, schedule the balance that you want. And that's what we're going to show you how to find out. What is your balance and how can you make that happen?
Mm-hmm. So let's just define what work-life balance is. Just if you were to type into a computer, you would probably get a Wikipedia definition, and basically saying that work-life balance is the balance that an individual needs between time allocated for work and the other aspects of life. Now, defining what the other aspects of life can sometimes be a challenge. It's really easy to know sometimes what our work is, but what are all the other things that make up our life? So areas of life other than work life can be, but not limited to, your personal interests, your family and social relationships, any leisure activities. So basically, we're in agreement that work-life balance, it's more just about finding out what makes you a cool and happening person other than your work. It's very stereotypical for you to start the dinner party conversation with, oh, what do you do for a living? And what's really interesting is when people don't answer with what they do as for work, when they say, oh, I like to travel, or I like to sew, or I make, fancy straw hats.
Yeah,
interesting.
It can take a little bit of time to find answers, and it is okay if you don't have answers for this yet. That's totally okay, because a lot of people are on the same boat. We were on that boat a long time ago, but by doing that, it's gonna help you make your life way, way better. So after doing all the research, we have divided this presentation in these 4 points. The first one is to be grateful. We believe that when you are grateful, you are in a different mindset, you are in good spirit, and you can look at life from a different angle. The second one is to become aware of your situation and aware of the things that you need to include in your life or that you need to change. The third one is really, really important, and that's something that everybody struggles with: communication. A lot of times when you are working in a farm, you are managing a team, you have family members, sometimes brothers, sisters, parents, siblings, children. So you have to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And sometimes that could be difficult.
Or also you're a solo entrepreneur on your farm and you're not used to having to communicate your ideas. So when you do have to do that with someone, it can be a challenge.
And the last one is the practical of, okay, great, I know these things. How do I fit them in my day? How do I make those things happen? That's when the time management and the action plan comes in place. So we're gonna dive into these 4 steps in this presentation, okay?
So it's really important that if you can take a minute now and think about, why are you grateful for being a farmer? What makes you choose this line of work? What brought you into this? What are you grateful for?
Yeah. So we're going to share the things that people share with us, and then after we're going to leave 1 minute, and we want you to speak with your neighbor and tell them a couple more things that you are grateful for, because I'm pretty sure you can be grateful for something else than what we share here. So some people say, I'm grateful for having a flexible schedule. So not having a 9 to 5, okay? I'm happy to be being my own boss. I really love being my own boss. I love the connection with the land and the animals. Really nice and profound. It's so true. Like, we city people are very disconnected from that, and you guys have a really good connection with that. Family time. I know that some people would say, what? Well, a lot of people commented on how easy it is to integrate your children and the family in the activities that you do, because you don't have a boss, you don't have to commute. That's another one, no commute time. But family time can be integrated in your day-to-day tasks. Quality time with kids. Again, a lot of people commented, I can bring my kids when I'm doing something with my tractor or something in the barn or something, that I can include them in those activities and I can have quality time with them. And downtime between crops. People who have crops, they have a really busy season, but then they have a nice and relaxing season that they can use that time to do something else. So now is your turn. I'm sure you can find something else, at least one or two things that you can be grateful for. Please take a minute to share them with your neighbor. Just take turns, okay?
So I actually have a small vegetable garden in our backyard. We're lucky we have a piece of land out behind our house. And I would just like to say that I'm grateful for the opportunity it provides me to get outside every day. So in the summertime and growing season, I'm generally out there looking at the plants, maybe picking some of the plants, eating them. And I just really enjoy that time. And it's more of a hobby for me, but I'm really grateful for that access to food.
I'm grateful because when our nephews come home, the first thing that they always say is like, can we go to the garden? And they love seeing where things come from. They love beans, green beans. They always want to eat them. Mm-hmm. But they understand where they come from. They can see the plant. So that's a big plus of why we have a garden. And yeah, those are two examples. I'm pretty sure you guys found a few more. But it's very, very important to be grateful, because I sense from my conversations with farmers, majority of the people were always going to the negatives of farming, and this is what happens with life. You can focus on the positives or you can focus on the negatives. Your energy is going somewhere, right? If you are always talking about the negative aspects and you are always complaining about them, all your energy and efforts are going towards that. So how is that going to help you improve your life? I'm not saying forget about them, but if you are focusing on the positives, you are on a gratefulness state, and that's going to help you see things differently. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to look at the challenges that are the next, and then the challenges are going to be a little bit easier to manage or to find solutions for.
Mm-hmm. So what are your challenges? I'm going to go through some of the answers that we received from farmers. And one of the first ones, always on call. So not having that clear separation, always being available, which makes it really hard to then manage your time. It maybe feels like you're putting out fires all the time, running from this to that, and never really getting a good block of downtime. It's weather dependent. So again, if you're doing cash crops and all of a sudden we have a tornado go through the area, or a hailstorm, which happened, a few years back, damaging all that spinach. High stress. So again, when those kinds of things happen, it's really, really difficult to sometimes manage that stress load. You take on generally a huge debt. What it was like to be a farmer when my grandfather owned a cattle farm is very different from today. Working on and off the farm can also prove to be a large challenge. So if you do have to go and deliver or do any of those kinds of things, it can be challenging. There's no sturdy paycheck, so no consistency there, which can sometimes, we all know the finances, when they're not consistent, it gives us that, that uncertain feeling, and that's not great. And again, you're out on a farm. If you have a large acreage, you often will get a little bit lonely or feel isolated, especially if it's something that you are doing on your own. And then, of course, you feel guilty for taking any time off. Vacations are the last thing that you plan into your schedule, even though they should probably be at that top of that priority list. And time off means something different for everybody. We're not saying you have to go to an island somewhere for a vacation. Time off can literally mean Friday nights, I don't book things. I make sure that I'm doing stuff for myself.
I was reading one website. I don't remember which one it was, but I smiled because one farmer was saying, I moved to a different farm because there was a creek and I love fishing. And 3 years later, guess how many times he took time to go fishing to that creek that is right there? 0. And he was complaining about, wow, I can't believe that 3 years have passed and I have never gone fishing there. So let's try and find strategies to change situations like that, okay? Is there any other challenge that you have? I'm pretty sure there are a lot of them. If you want to share a couple of them with your neighbor, we can give you a minute. But again, focusing only on the negatives is not good. Always see the whole picture, the good and the bad. And you can always change the bad. And we're going to give you strategies and tools to do that in a few seconds.
Yeah. Oh, communication is also a challenge. That was hidden at the bottom of the slide there.
Yeah, communication. That's why we have a whole chapter about that.
So again, when you are aware of the things that you're grateful for, we want to foster those. We want to make sure that we're not eliminating that. And when you're aware of the challenges, you're now aware of how you can solve those issues. So it's both a really great exercise to challenge yourself and say, what are the things that I love about farming? What are the things I hate about farming? Because we want to keep the things that we love, let go of the things that are challenging us the most. And one of those ways that we try and find out what your work-life balance is, we all know what the work is, but we think that dividing your life into about 7 different categories can help you focus in on what's important. So here you can see on the screen, we think 7 ingredients for an extraordinary life include your body, your mind, your family, your social, they're very separate categories, stuff, and giving back.
Yeah, and then again, these are 7 categories that we came up with. If there are something that is important for you, like you can add or remove the ones that are important for you. This is just a template that you can use. But the idea behind this is to take a holistic approach of your life. So, and then we're going to help you next to become aware of how you are feeling, what areas you need to improve on, what areas you are feeling great, and then try to find that recipe, that salad, because when we eat salad, we love the analogy of a salad. Some people like dressing, some people don't. Some people like salt, some people don't. Some people like tomatoes, some people don't. Let's create your own salad, the one that you love eating.
So that first step that we talked about is the awareness, and that's where those 7 ingredients is going to come in handy. So becoming aware is knowing the things that you want to change, being aware of the frustrations, of the challenges, stress, any anxiety that happens in your life. If you're not aware specifically of what causes that, this is all a part of that mindfulness movement. All you have to do is start taking note of when you feel overwhelmed. Every time I speak to this supplier, I feel overwhelmed when I hang up the phone call. Okay, I'm now just aware of what's triggering that, or the things that you want to change. For a silly example is I used to stub my toe on the blanket box at the end of our bed every morning when I would get up. And I realized that
She's a little bit clumsy.
I am clumsy, that's fine. But I also set myself up for failure because I put this blanket box right in the middle of my walking path. So I just moved it and changed something. So that's just a simple little example.
Yeah. So these tools are tools to help you become aware. And again, if you don't have answers yet, that's okay. That's why we are here. That's why you are here. And this is a great, huge step that you are taking towards changing your life. So self-care is a big, huge thing. Everybody's talking about self-care, but a lot of people don't quite understand how to apply self-care to their lives. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and one woman was saying, yeah, I know I have to do this, I have to do that. Give me a break. I have to take my kids to school. I have to do the dishes. I don't have time for self-care. And then after being coached a little bit through the process, she was able to find ways to integrate that self-care portion in their day. Because a lot of people think that self-care is a big chunk of time that you need to make for yourself. And when you have kids or a farm, you cannot have a big chunk of time. Like 1 hour is a huge amount of time sometimes. But you can carve out 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there, 10 minutes there. And it's proof that short amounts of bars of energy and time can lead into you feeling better. Doing exercise for maybe 10 minutes could be enough to reap the benefits of exercising. And some people think that they have to do a 50-minute class. So think about short amounts of time.
Even something as simple as planning a little bit into what are you going to eat for that day, just a little bit in advance, thinking about it instead of it being, now I'm starving, I didn't think about what I was going to eat, and I'm going to make a decision based on what's ever most convenient. So self-care is anything that is care provided by you and for you. So it's not something that you're doing for other people. We're literally talking about what you're doing for yourself.
Yeah.
So some of the signs that self-care is needed, there's physical signs. Now, of course, we're not doctors and we're not here to give you a diagnosis plan, but some of the physical signs are real. Some people feel that self-care, no, mental health, that doesn't make a difference. It's not the same as breaking your arm, which is really obvious. But physical signs can be chest pain, fatigue, reduced interest in sex, getting colds more often, sleeping problems. It can even cause people to be nauseous or have diarrhea, which it proves that it's a serious element that you need to be looking after in your life, because stress really can cause that.
There are also non-physical signs that a lot of us are experiencing, like feeling overwhelmed or frustrated, feeling guilty or unhappy, when you are always moody, when you are not confident about deciding about things, when you are always negative, when you have trouble remembering things. There are a lot of signs that when you can recognize them, again, this is not something to make you feel bad. This is something it's like a red flag that comes up. Oh, I'm noticing this happening a lot. Why is that happening? So that awareness piece is coming into place, and that's going to help you a lot to take steps to improve that for the future.
So right now we thought it would be this is a great exercise that we've used many times in presentations for you to just take a minute, if you have a pen and paper close by, or, you can just say it to yourself, but writing it down kind of makes it key. What is on your self-care plan? If you could think of the top 10 things that you like to do that make you feel better, that give you relaxation, that maybe don't cost any money at all, and don't take a lot of time, what would they be? And we've got some examples for you on the left of the screen, like spending time with your pet.
You don't have to find 10 right now. We just want you to get in that mindset of, okay, let's find at least 1 or 2, even 3 if you can in this minute. Just think about 3 basic things that you can do every single day that will make you feel better, like petting your cat, going down to the creek for a walk, eating something that you love, whatever that is for you, taking a bath. Think about 3 things.
My father loves doing the crossword that comes in the paper and also doing the word jumble. I've also seen my grandmother. She always had a deck of playing cards, and she would just do a quick round of solitaire. That is not a game on the phone. It's not a distraction. It's literally a deck of cards, throw them down on the table, just do 1 round.
Yeah. So just write a couple of things. Okay, if you found that you couldn't find one, we invite you to keep this exercise. And please, you don't need anything, just a piece of paper. Think about it in another time that you feel a little bit more comfortable or relaxed. Just think about this. We are planting a seed in your brain, and we want you to let that seed grow into something else. And you have to water it. So just keep thinking about that. Keep setting the intention, and answers will come to you. Don't worry.
And this presentation will be available to you through the event organizer. So you'll be able to get these slides. So don't feel like if you miss something or we went too quickly, you won't be able to see it again. You'll have access to this.
So this is an example of the 7 headings that we use, for example, and this is how practically we personally, Samantha and I, this is how we do it. Normally works out to be between 3 and 6 months. Every time we feel frustrated, every time that we are feeling that, I don't have a purpose in life, I'm kind of like lost, or I'm frustrated, and then we always say we have to make a creation. And then a creation is basically the name that we came up for this exercise. We normally go somewhere relaxing, or maybe at home, we light up a candle, and then we made it like a special occasion, like a date, and then we do it together. And as you can see, we just type the 7 headings that we use: body, mind, family, and we always start with being grateful about the things that we have. And majority of the times, we always end up like crying, because we become so happy because we realize, wow, like we have so much love around us. We have so many things. And then that puts you in a really nice state.
It reminds us of what's really important. And then once we've done that step of being grateful, which we just don't stop until, there's nothing left for us to kind of reflect on. And then we sit with those headings and we say, okay, what's 2 to 3 things that I would like to work on in the next foreseeable future underneath family? And you can see from the examples here, they don't have to be over the moon goals. Yeah. They are just simple things like I had under this particular creation to invite a family member over for dinner once a month. So it's something that for me was achievable and was going to get me and bring me closer to my family. Yeah. And it's a very simple goal, but something that had been missing.
It's a tool for you to help you become aware of like, how am I feeling about my body? How am I feeling about my mind? And then you can even rate that from 0 to 10. If you feel great in one category, maybe you don't have to do anything. Maybe you have to focus in a specific one that you are struggling with. So you don't have to find things for everyone, but you have to become aware of how am I feeling about this? And then try to write something there that you can start implementing.
Then we used visual reminders to help us achieve those things. So this is a very large example of a corkboard that we have in our home, and Emilio was trying to make visual representations of the things that he wrote down on his creation. This is just one way if you have a space or a corkboard that you can do. There's other visual reminders as well. There's ones with, we use a glass window so that you can write and erase things. And this is just an example of spaces that you can put up your own.
Yeah, we also have a personal journal and a business journal. Basically, we have this is an old window with a glass, and we just use like a
erasable
pens to write on different colors. And we try to track things. We try to track wins, the challenges that we are facing, reflections, and then stuff that happened. Why? Because so many times we have our own business. So many times we are feeling down, and then we come home, oh gosh, I'm doing everything wrong. I suck at life. I don't know what I'm doing.
I want to quit.
I want to look for a real job. Things like that. Your mind always goes to those negative. But then we come to the board, and I guarantee that every time we look at that, we start seeing what we have done, the wins and everything, and we realize, oh wow, I have done a lot of things. So it's not that bad.
And a lot of good things have happened.
We are very emotional.
How we use this board as well is that once a month when we close our month for our business, we then take what's written on the board and we type it into a computer document. Yeah. And then that way we can look back now all the way to 2014 and see the things that we were grateful for at that time and the things that also brought us a lot of challenge. So it's a great reflection tool for being able to move forward.
It's pretty unbelievable to be able to go back a few months or even a couple of years and read what you brought there, because it puts life in perspective, and then it shows you how much you have accomplished, and it may remind you of things that you want to do that you didn't complete,
that you still want to work on.
So it's very powerful.
So we're already on to the second step. So the first one was becoming aware. So hopefully some of those tools and strategies can
gratefulness.
Yeah, so some of those things can help bring awareness for you. We encourage you to try one, if not all of the different activities that we've offered. But now let's move on to communication, because that's one of the biggest parts, and even something that Emilio and I are very much aware of, but still we struggle with. So here's some of the things that we think will help you with communication.
So communication is not easy. All the process that we have shown you until now, this is very personal, and the answers are going to be different for every individual. So
and there is no right or wrong answer.
No, there is no right or wrong. The secret here is to be aware of them. Like if you're living with your husband, with your wife, with your children, with co-workers, with flatmates, whatever your situation is, if you are aware of what the other people need, and you are aware of what you need, and they are aware of what you need, guess what? Things are going to become easier, because then you can create a plan of attack that can fit as much as possible everybody's needs. And again, we are not looking for perfection here, but we are aiming for that common ground, that happy balance where everybody is compromising just enough to feel well with the situation.
Yeah.
And this is something that everybody said. Family dynamics are really hard. Sometimes my brother went on vacation and I didn't get vacation, so they were upset about that, and that changes everything else. Everything else is just negative. Everybody's upset. And then
it's easy to not be able to move forward from that as well. You know, if someone's still bringing up something that bothered them from years before, it means that there's some sort of communication that's been a breakdown there. So in these cases, we often say it's really important to feel that you have the ability to trust the people you're communicating with. So being able to share your feelings, being able to involve others, And most importantly, listening when someone else needs to communicate is really important. And while you're listening, you're respectful, you're not judging that person, and you're open-minded to hear what others have to say. So if that is very difficult for you to do just the two of you or as a group, using a mediator can be such a great investment, because you are able to solve big challenges that affect every single day in a short amount of time.
Sometimes, especially when family dynamics happen, if you are a husband, you are a brother, you are a dad, you confronting your family member with a specific situation could be dangerous and could be difficult, and could be you don't even know how to do it. By bringing someone else that has nothing to do with you or with your family dynamics, you are bringing someone else that is going to be pointing everything out, and then everybody's going to feel less attacked. That person is going to make sure that everybody hears everyone, and that person is going to come up with a very objective plan that you can then implement. And you are not telling that person what to do. It's not your thing, it's their thing, and everybody is on the same page. That's so powerful. I do this with businesses, and we do this with clients all the time, and we invite you to use this if you are struggling with finding that communication.
So let's jump into some other strategies. There is one thing that you can do to work on making sure you're able to communicate your ideas really easily and very simply. And there's 4 steps to it. And we just go through them really quickly, and we'll give you an example. But the first is to observe. So to comment on what you are observing, not evaluating what you are observing, and then express your feelings about that observation, connect the feelings to the need that's missing for you, and then make your request. So an example, okay? When you slammed the door, okay, that's an observation. I felt angry. That's my feeling, because I really was hoping to speak with you. That was the need that I needed. In the future, can you try and stay calm and say that you need a minute by yourself? That's the request. So I'm not trying to say, I'm not saying you slam the barn door too hard and you're always too aggressive. No. I'm just observing. It's true. You slammed the barn door. That made me feel angry. I admit that, because I really wanted to speak with you. But I am open to the idea that maybe you needed a minute to yourself, which is, in the future, tell me that you need a minute to yourself and then leave the space, and I will respect that.
Again, it's always becoming aware of the situation. Sometimes the delivery is really, really important. Like some really long time ago with one of my ex-partners, we were having a discussion, an argument, and then at the end, like, we just left, and then we came back after a few hours, and then she told me, no, you were right. What you were saying was right. And I just couldn't understand, like, so why were we fighting? And then she told me, because I didn't like the way you told me. And I just didn't like how you screamed at me, and I became defensive. It blew my mind. I just couldn't believe it. So the delivery is really important. Take a minute to think about things and try to be calm.
So another little example that I want to share too about communication, Emilio and I, because we run our business together, because we are married, because everything in our life seems to be inclined to be entangled together, sometimes we get into an argument where we're trying to make a decision and we are not respecting each other. So we pull out a timer, a kitchen timer, this timer, and we allow 1 minute on the timer. And when the person is holding the timer, they get 1 minute to just put the verbal diarrhea on. And then when that bell rings, it gets passed to the other person.
And it's my turn.
And the other person is not allowed to talk, not allowed to interrupt, and they must remain in contact. They can't be looking around. They can't have a distraction, no phones. They are there and they are listening. And what generally happens...
And before doing this, we also take 3 deep breaths before doing that. And then what happens?
Generally, by the end of a couple of rounds of everybody having a minute to themselves, is that we end up laughing and resolving what we were talking about, because we're able to speak uninterrupted, which sometimes can show us that what we were doing was either a reaction or just something that it was a miscommunication.
It wasn't such a big deal. And sometimes we humans are very emotional, and sometimes we just take things very we just explode. And that's why sometimes we need to really calm down, breathe, understand, and then there is always a solution for things. There is always a way to get out of challenges.
Yeah. So communication is hard. And now we're moving into the time management.
Yeah, time management and the action plan. So now that you become aware of things, now that everybody's aware of their needs, the communication happened and everybody's on the same page, how can you make this happen? So a week is a pretty good amount of time to fit everything that you need in your life in. We found that a day is not enough and a month is too much time. A week is kind of, it has the weekend, it has the weekdays, and then it's like a very nice and balanced amount of time. So this is an example of a working mom. So she worked with us, and then we were trying to help her create a schedule that worked for her. And then this is how we did it. It's a visual way of fit everything in your week, because so many times we are not realistic about how long things take. And if you can put them in a week with the realistic time, you can see how much you can fit in it. So as you can see, like this person is working part-time 2 days a week, is helping an aging parent. She has to do shopping, grocery. So she put the things that she had to do. And then there is some white space in there. That's where you can fit the things that you feel you need to do.
And these visual reminders aren't supposed to be, a lock and chain around your wrists. I have to do exactly what's on the schedule. This is more of integrating the awareness tool and integrating what you would like to accomplish. So sometimes when people are telling us all the things that are on the to-do list, when we write them down and we put time frames on them, we say, you need 2 people to be able to accomplish what you think you should be accomplishing. So no wonder you feel like you have no time. And one of the things that also makes us aware is there are 24 hours in a day. Everybody has the same amount of time. And so if you are constantly giving the excuse, I don't have time, or someone is telling you, I don't have time, it's not that they don't have time, it's that it's not a priority for them, okay? Or it's not a priority for you. So when you make this visual calendar, you are actually prioritizing what's important for you and the things that maybe you have already agreed to do with other people.
Yeah, so many times when we give this exercise to someone, even with myself, I had a really hard time doing this. So what I did, I used the same template, but I tracked my time. I started tracking my time to see where things went. And then this is how 1 week looks like. Last week, I just did it for you to see it. And then as you can see, I track everything from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. And you can be as specific or as broad as you want. Just think about the categories that make sense for your life. And then you will start seeing where your time is going. And then after that, you can reflect about this, and then you can decide, okay, what can I change here? How can I tweak things around? It's a very eye-opening exercise, and I invite you to do it.
What Emilio did as well might be a bit of a challenge if you were out on the farm and you were doing physical work. It's not easy to carry around a piece of paper and write down with a pen. But if you find that you're doing the administrative side or you're managing groups, that's a really good exercise for you. If you find that you are out of the home, you are not near pen and paper, or pen and paper is something that is not even of interest to you, getting someone to help you create this calendar can also be really excellent. So just telling someone, this is how I'd like my week to look. And it's okay for you to be able to say what you would like your week to look like. Because if you don't, those 24 hours in a day, if you don't decide how to use them, someone else or something else is going to determine how you use them.
Yeah, and this is aiming for perfection, but we know that life will get on the way, and we know that you won't be able to get 100% of what you're putting down there. But if you get 20%, 30%, 50%, that's going to be better than getting nothing. So you have to aim for something. And when you are starting to do this exercise, I guarantee you that your life is going to start changing. You're going to become aware of things, and the plan of attack is going to be evolving with you, and you will get to a point that you feel way more comfortable.
The schedule doesn't stay stagnant. It changes probably once a month, if you will. The next example that we have for you to be able to eliminate some of that clutter that happens in our brains, or those to-do lists that just never stop growing or never seem to get accomplished, is doing an exercise that takes less than 5 minutes, and it's called brain dumping. It's where you get a piece of paper out and a pen. You'll see that a lot of these solutions are non-tech solutions, because there's actually this connection of when you get your pen and your paper, there's a connection with your brain, and just allowing whatever needs to come out. What are all the things that I want to do, that I think I'm supposed to do? Write them all down on a piece of paper, dump them there. And then you're able to see what is it that you're working towards, what should you prioritize, what's no longer relevant, what all the kind of activity.
Once you have that done, then you have to do the exercise of placing that in your weekly calendar, because that's the only way for you to see your week and to be realistic about, can I do this? Do I have the time? And then you can prioritize things. Another exercise that is very powerful and we do all the time with clients is mind mapping. It's a similar idea to the brain dump, but in the mind mapping, basically, as you can see in this example, this client was very overwhelmed with, but then when I sat with her for like 20 minutes and then we came up with this. And then I started to do all the things that she had in her mind. And then,
so let's slow down. She would tell Emilio the things that she wanted to accomplish, and then he would ask questions. Well, what do you have to do in order to accomplish that? And that's what you're seeing here. So when you see basement, she had to elaborate. Well, what do you have to do with the basement? Well, I have to call a contractor. I have to unpack boxes.
She had a flooding in the basement and she was very concerned about how to deal with that. So basically I came up with the priorities, with the steps that she had to do, with the time frame. So there is a video about this in our website, in our blog, YouTube channel, and mind mapping, or you can watch a lot of videos in YouTube if you want to learn how to do it. It's just a great tool for you to explore, and it does help me a lot, and we are able to use this with majority of our clients.
Mm-hmm. So the clutter, what we're talking about, the mind clutter, we love this example that we also use for the physical clutter as well, from Clutters Anonymous. Just like Alcoholics Anonymous, there is a group of people, a support group for people who have challenges with clutter, but it's basically anything that we don't want, need, or use that takes away from us our time, energy, space, and destroys our peace of mind, destroys our serenity. And it's the same of what's going on probably with some of the challenges. You can have physical clutter, you can have the clutter that happens with your business, you can have the clutter of just not knowing how to manage your time. There's so many things to do, and how do I do it well? So that's why we love this example. So it's about bringing awareness, being grateful for those things, but bringing awareness, using tools to help you try and manage that, but letting go of what you don't need, want, or use that takes too much of your time and energy or space. Because when you can let go, you open up all these opportunities to be happier, to be healthier, and to move forward with the things that you want to do.
If you stay for our next presentation, you will see that decluttering, eliminating all the excess, that's always one of the first steps that we do with clients, because that's the only way for you to be able to change. Because if you don't remove everything that you don't need, you are trying to organize and manage things that don't make sense for you and for your life. That's why you have to declutter everything that you no longer need. And when you are left only with the things that are important for you, that's when you can try to manage them, prioritize them.
Go back to the basics.
And make them happen.
So time wasters that you can avoid, really simple things here, really practical. Stop being available for people all the time. Don't be busy just being busy. Know what it is that you want to work on. Set some priorities so that it's easier to make decisions. When you know what it is you're working towards, my goal right now during busy planting season is just that, getting the plants in the ground. There's not a lot else that's going to distract me. I don't want to think about 7 months in advance from now. I've got a priority and this is what it is. Stop
multitasking and try to batch things together. Like if you check emails like 25 times a day, that's interrupting your day and your flow and your mood. Try to batch emails to 3 times a day, 5 times a day, 1 time a day, whatever makes sense for you. Same with work, same with family life, try to batch things as much as you can.
Or even phone calls.
Yeah. And then also communication is really important. Once you understand how you are batching your time, you can communicate that to the other people, and they most likely won't interrupt you because they understand what you are doing. And they understand, okay, he's on the zone now, or she's on the zone now. I'm not going to interrupt her. I can wait 20 minutes. Interruptions are a big one. If you are doing a task that requires concentration and you are interrupted, it can take you up to 15, 20 minutes to get back on the zone. So you have wasted 20 minutes. If that happens over and over and over, you won't be able to do it.
So learn how to say no to those things that are interrupting your priority. And that's not to be rude. That's just to make sure that you are going forward with the things that you set as your priority.
Yeah. This is something that I have on my vision board. Someone told me this and it was so powerful. So every time that someone asks for something from you, you can always decide, do I want to give it? So always think about time, energy, and money. Do I want to give it? So is that something that you want to do it? If you want to do it, do I have it to give it? So do you have the time, the energy, or the money to do it? And under what circumstances? That's really important, because one example was, oh, my sister called me and she wants me to babysit, but she lives in Hamilton and I live in London. So that means that the commute time is really huge. So she thought, do I want to do it? Yes. Do I have the time and energy? I don't want to commute. I don't want to do the commute. So what she said is like, yes, I can babysit under these circumstances. You drop her here, I will take her, sleep overnight, and then you will come and pick her up. And then the sister was thrilled. She can do that. And then all of a sudden she's happy with that circumstances. So that's just one example.
So being able to say no, these are just some examples of polite ways, but direct ways of being able to communicate that no is your answer. Let's just go through two of them. Right now is not a good time. Could you follow up with me and then you pick a future date. So oftentimes you probably have people soliciting you on your farm for either business or new products or seed ideas, whatever it is, letting them know that right now is planting season. It's not a good time. You can follow up with me in 2 months from now. Number 4, I appreciate your time, but this is not something that interests me. So, sometimes people are coming to you with an idea and it's not something that interests you. Being able to say, you know what, I do appreciate the fact that you are talking to me about this, but this is not my interest. Some people have a really hard time saying that to people. So this gives you a polite way to be able to say no, and hopefully that they're respectful of that answer.
Yeah, the one, let me think about it. That's really powerful, because that way you are not pressured to make a decision. And then also, so sometimes people say, send me an email and I will follow up with you. And you know what happens? Majority of the time, people don't even send the email, so you don't have to do anything. So try to give yourself some time and try to be intentional with your decisions. Mm-hmm. So this is what we cover in the presentation. We know that this is a lot of information and we are running out of time, but we have all this information, like a lot of it is in our blog. You can learn more about that. And we are here for you if you have any questions. So feel free to connect with us. But basically, a reminder, being grateful, always being grateful, and starting from that mindset, becoming aware of your situation and the things that you want to change, communication with everybody that surrounds you.
Once you're aware of what it is that you want and why you want it, it makes communication a lot easier because understand the reasons behind why you want the things, or you want things to work out a certain way.
If you're struggling with that piece, just think about something. Even if you are having challenges with the people that surround you, I'm pretty sure that they love you. I'm pretty sure that they appreciate you. And I'm pretty sure that the circumstances can change. If you can communicate to them, listen, this is really important for me. I know that things haven't worked out in the past. I'm really trying my best to change this. What do you think if we try to brainstorm together to find a solution? What do you need? Share me what you would like to see. That's a really great opening a door for communication, for people feeling well and sharing. Yeah. So try to use that as much as you can.
And then time management, again, we all have 24 hours in a day. If you don't determine how to use them, someone else or something else is going to do that for you. So try some of the strategies that can help you visualize what it is a week looks like, or maybe it's just documenting what you're currently doing so that you can become aware of how to do that. But using these 4 strategies will certainly help you improve your work-life balance and bring you closer to what it is that people describe as, work-life balance. What we want to be really honest about is that work-life balance, there are going to be times when work is a priority and life goes down. There will be times when life gets the priority and work goes down. And it's all about knowing, did you determine how that was going to go? When your wife is pregnant and your baby's not coming out, how do you balance the work? How do you manage the clients that you've committed to?
Yes,
so there's always going to be things that are thrown at you in life. Mm-hmm. And these strategies are here to help you get out of those choppy waters a little bit faster than if you were just kind of winging it or putting out fires.
Yeah. For your situation, maybe you have to look at 6 months plan, or maybe you have to look at a 1-year plan, because maybe, as Samantha says, you have a few months that are really busy and a few months that are really low. So maybe you have to look at that year plan and then put things that will excite you when you have downtime, but make it a priority. Tell everybody that that's happening, so people get excited, and then you can go through those hard months like with optimism. I'm looking forward to that thing that is waiting for you after. So we hope that all these tools were like helpful. If you want to stick around for the next presentation and learn how to declutter and organize any space, it's going to be very interesting to help you simplify that aspect of your life. And if you have any questions, this is our website. We are available for email, call us, or send us a social media
and
request.
Any of the questions that you might have had during the presentation, again, please give those to the event organizer, or take the time and send us an email or phone call, and we will do our best to answer them. And we are available for speaking. We have online courses, and we do work with people one-on-one in their home with helping them with a lot of these strategies or the physical stuff.
Yeah. So thank you for being here, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
And sorry again that our baby girl decided to throw a curveball at us.
Adios.